The first Ebola case in New York City is confirmed from a doctor who treated patients in West Africa. The Kelly File did some digging on what the CDC recommends one should do if one's been treating Ebola patients in West Africa and then returning to the United States. First quote, if you have been exposed to Ebola but are not sick, you will either have to arrange a charter flight home or stay in West Africa for at least 21 days until authorities ensure it is safe for you to travel. Then, once you're home, monitor your health for 21 days if you were in an area with an Ebola outbreak. During the time that you are monitoring your health, you can continue your normal activities, including work. Continue your normal activities. But here's the last word, the latest word from the CDC. According to the public health authorities, the guidelines do not go into effect until this coming Monday, the 27th of October. What? Are you as confused as I am? Dr. Manny Alvarez is our Fox News Senior Managing Editor for Health. He joins us now by phone. Dr. Manny, good of you to be here. Here's the bottom line. Self-monitor is the protocol, even if you're a doctor who's been treating Ebola patients. And tonight, we heard congratulations from the New York State governor that the system apparently worked. Well, the system may have worked in picking the guy up in hazmat outfits, but did it really work when you have a guy who has 103-degree fever, has diarrhea and has vomiting this morning at 10 a.m., who was bowling and on subways and using an Uber cab 12 hours earlier in Manhattan in New York City?
Well, Kelly, thanks. I pray that he gets better, but highly irresponsible. The word is irresponsible. He should have known, as a doctor, that if he was in West Africa taking care of patients with Ebola, how contagious Ebola is, that if he came back to the U.S. upon registering with the health department, if he chose to, he should have stayed home and self-quarantined in the highest level. As a doctor, I'm sorry, irresponsible. And also irresponsible is the guidelines of the CDC when it comes to all of this self-quarantine. Who's going to monitor? Listen, 21 days, number-wise, doesn't seem like a long, many days, but people get cabin fever. And, of course, human spirits takes over, and, of course, you want to go out and do whatever you want to do. And if you're given any leeway when it comes to the guidelines, you're going to do things like going out and bowling and go out maybe for dinner. And in a city like New York, this is something that really is very problematic because this is not, we're not in the middle of fields here. People have, people travel in subways. The streets are very crowded. There's a lot of intimacy between people and people in New York City. So I call this doctor and I pray for his health, but he was irresponsible. And
now, to what extent are the people in New York City in need of concern tonight? Because the authorities are telling us, there's Dr. Siegel, we're going to go to him in a moment, but authorities are telling us not to worry. There he is. Hey, Doc. Hold on. But Dr. Manny, let me finish with you first. They're telling us not to worry. They're telling us that, if the situation's been contained and that he wasn't symptomatic while he was running around doing the bowling alley and so on and so forth. And yet you hear from other experts that even though fever is the telltale symptom of Ebola, sometimes you have active Ebola and you might be contagious even in a small percentage of cases if you don't have a fever.
Well, and that is true. And, listen, I hope and pray that his symptoms were within 24 hours, that indeed he realized that he was not heading in the right direction, that he self-quarantined immediately again, even though he went out Wednesday afternoon or Wednesday night, whatever the case may be. Look, right now, those people that he came into contact will need to be sort of quarantined themselves. The health inspectors will be monitoring their conditions, and we'll go through the same, triaging dozens of people, thousands of dollars of costs all over again. And but listen, we cannot keep repeating these issues of people not realizing that they're infectious. Protocols need to be tightened. Again, if the president is not going to call for a travel ban, and fine, whatever he thinks, he's smart for sure. But if people are going to come from that part of the world and they're going to come to cities like New York or any other metropolitan cities, better accountability has to be made, and people who are at risk for those 21 days, something has to monitor their quarantine, and they have to kept in a place that they know exactly where they are.
Yeah. What we realize now is There ain't no quarantine, no voluntary quarantine, no mandatory quarantine, nothing. It's self-monitored. Dr. Manny, thank you.
You got it.